Hi everyone, this is Diva from Blood Hunter, and you're listening to the Metal Pit podcast.
Welcome to the Metal Pit podcast, where we delve deep into the albums and bands that shaped metal. Please visit our website, www.themetalpit.org, where you can find album reviews, interviews, and live show reviews and more. Also, follow us on Facebook and Instagram at The Metal Pit. And from video interviews, shorts, and audio versions of this podcast, please visit our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com at the Metal Pit 666, and subscribe to us. This is our first regular episode of 2024, as last week we did a recap of the year in metal of 2023 and gave out our top 15 albums of the year last year. So we're getting back into some classic albums again, and tonight we're going to talk about Suicidal Tendencies. Just a short thing. Of course, an American crossover thrash band formed in 1980 in Venice, Los Angeles, California, by vocalist Mike Muir, who is still in the band today and the only surviving not surviving, they're not dead or anything, but the only member that's been in the band the whole time. And let me just start right off right now. We're gonna do the album Lights Camera Revolution. So I'm gonna ask, sorry, I forgot to introduce my guest. I have two guests, two of my writers, Jim and Billy. How are you two today?
Doing well.
Awesome.
Doing well.
Okay, so now I'll ask the question. We're doing the 1990 Lights Camera Revolution, when did you first hear Suicidal Tendencies or this album? Jim, you can go first.
I think I probably heard the first album in '83, but a few years later with I Saw Your Mommy, it was a wicked song. But I think the first album I actually bought would be How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today. And that's probably my favorite Suicidal album. But I mean, this is the one that just lit it up. So, I fell in love with them. The Controlled by Hatred, Feel Like Shit albums, Wicked 2, and Join the Army. But that would be the first time I probably bought one, was How Will I Laugh.
Okay, and Billy?
For me, probably first time I heard them would have been our Canadian music channel, Much Music. Seeing the video Possessed to Skate and Institutionalized. So what, that may have been like 87, 88 or something. And to be honest, I didn't like it too much. It was a little bit too punk. Definitely didn't click with me. But similar to Jim, a friend of mine lent me How Will I Laugh Tomorrow when that thing first came out, and I loved it. So from that point on, big fan. But pre that album, I'll have to be honest, I have trouble getting into those early albums.
Well, for me, I think it's the same with Billy, I guess. It was actually usually I don't get into a band by video first, but I think it was seeing Institutionalized on Much Music, as you said, here in Canada, MTV in the United States. But I did like the song, even though I never really considered myself liking punk music. But I like the song. I mean, it was funny, of course, as most of their videos were back then, with the actors and stuff in there and being a bad kid. And he wanted a Pepsi and they wouldn't even give him a Pepsi. And even though I don't like Pepsi, but whatever. and then seeing Possessed to Skate on the next album. Now I can't really remember if I heard Institutionalized and went and bought the first album. I know I have it now, but I can't remember that far back to think, did I go out and buy the album? Did I go buy the second album after I heard Possessed to Skate, or did I wait until the next one too, with How Will I Laugh Tomorrow one? Because I know they really the sound changed for that album. So let me go back to a little. So some of this is off of Wikipedia, so I'll just kind of say some of what they're saying here. Along with Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, DRI, Corrosion of Conformity, and Stormtroopers of Death, Suicidal is often credited as one of the fathers of crossover thrash. Now, I don't really like that term. Like, I don't even understand exactly what it means. But I know they went from punk to, I guess, thrash, even though I wouldn't really call them thrash. Would you guys call Suicidal Tendencies thrash much?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess I stick with that crossover, right? To me, crossover thrash is not pure thrash as we know it, like
Mhm.
not like, I don't know, Kill 'Em All or like Slayer, Rain and Blood. Like to me, it's thrash, but like still mixed in with hardcore and punk. So
Yeah,
that's
and I
how I
agree.
look
I
at
think
it.
I think it has it bridges that gap because back then metal fans and punk fans were at odds with each other, and
Yeah.
these bands sort of bridged that gap. So it was cool to see metal guys at these shows, and obviously punk guys as well. People, not necessarily guys, but and I think that bridged the gap, and really they're in my mind a hugely underrated band for really pushing the metal genre that much farther. And I think they're an important band, and I think they get overlooked a lot. So, hearing that we were able to do this album was super exciting. So,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so the band first achieved success with their debut album, again, because of the video Institutionalized, since MTV played it a lot in the States, I mean. And they continued to grow. And then the next album was Join the Army in 1987. That was their first album to make it into Billboard's top 200 chart. And then they came up with the third one there. Do I have 88 is when How Will I Laugh Tomorrow When I Can't Even Smile Today came out. And then the year after, they had the next one, Controlled by Hatred, Feel Like Shit, Deja Vu. And then, of course, this one, Lights, Camera, Revolution. And it was well received in the thrash metal and heavy metal communities. And it made a gold album. And it was also nominated for a Grammy, wasn't it? I think it's this one, yes.
Oh,
For the
was it?
song, the first track, Don't You Can't Bring Me Down, was
can't bring me
nominated
down.
for Grammy, but they lost out to some band called Metallica.
Who lost out to Jethro Tull earlier.
Rotal.
Oh, was that the first? Oh, I thought it said Oh,
Oh no, I just mean there was one time when Metallica got nominated first for best
oh,
metal, and Jethro Tull beat them, who's not
oh,
even
okay.
really metal.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay. So this album, 1990, Lights, Camera, Revolution, is one of the most popular ones by Suicidal Tendencies. Uh, I really like the one that came after this too,
Hmm.
the Art of Rebellion, right? So
Yeah.
I like them both a lot. And of course, this album was the first to feature Robert Trujillo on the bass, who of course is now in that band, Metallica. And of course, Robert Trujillo's son is now in Suicidal Tendencies, which we might get to later. But he hasn't been on an album yet, but he has played with them live. And I think they're working on a new album, but I can't really say that for sure. And of course, Suicidal also had the group that grew from Suicidal Tendencies, that was Infectious Grooves, which of course Robert Trujillo was also in that with Mike Muir. And I think Trujillo's funk kind of bass stuff that he liked to do is a big influence in that, as well with this album too, where you get some where they kind of got away from just punk and started doing new things. So let's get to the lineup in this group is Mike Muir, lead vocals, Rocky George, lead guitar, of course, Mike Clark, rhythm guitar, Robert Trujillo, bass, and drummer R.J. Herrera.
And by far the best lineup of Suicidal Tendencies, in my view.
Yes, I think Rocky George is a pretty underrated guitarist. And
Agreed.
that's one thing about like the band, because they were started punk, I guess, and so they had the skateboard people, the punk people, the gang people there in Los Angeles. And then of course Rocky George is African American, and I don't know if he's the first African American guy in a heavy metal band or not, but I know he was probably one of the first. And so you even see from the videos where there's when you go back to your Slayer and Exodus and Metallica videos, you don't see a lot of African Americans in the crowd or whatever, part of the thing, but you really see it with this group, as they really had a wide variety of people. And I know they had problems in Los Angeles getting shows early on because they didn't want the people that were going to come to the show to be at their venues and stuff. So I know they had a problem at the start there. But
Well, they
anyway,
were
let's
actually
get to
banned. Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
They were actually banned in LA. So for many years, which was pretty cool. And I think there's on YouTube an old where they played in front of Tower Records in the parking lot, and they got shut down after a couple of songs. So, but that really made it really cool for me because I love the fact that these guys are banned in LA. And that's the metal capital kind of, back then, and they were banned. So right off the bat, they were on my list for sure.
And I'm sure they had their problems with the PMRC, of course, and I'm sure the song "I Saw Your Mommy" probably didn't help anything. And I was going to mention the album cover is not very creative to me. It's just like a band photo as it's taken at the Vista Theater on Sunset Drive in Los Feliz, Los Angeles, which is probably where they played a lot, and they're just standing there. But so it's not very exciting of an album cover to talk about. It's just a band photo, really. So we're going to talk about the first track, "You Can't Bring Me Down." Let's go, Billy. Talk about "You Can't Bring Me Down."
Yeah, so great song. Love this song. One of my favorites on the album. Just starts great, right? The cool slow guitar intro, and then the song just explodes with like raw energy. Like it's a great way to start the song. Great anthem, drive rhythm to this song. Some crazy vocal lines on here. Not crazy, but memorable. Like when Mike's like, who the hell are you calling crazy? You wouldn't know crazy if Charles Manson was eating Fruit Loops on your porch. Like a lot of cool lines here. Amazing chorus. And for me, it just really sticks with me because I love this band live. It's one of my favorite bands live, and they usually start with this song. So I always just envision that slow start, and Mike always hides behind stage, and then when it kicks off, he comes running out onto the stage to do his vocal line to open this song, and he runs around like a madman, like the complete left of the stage, right of the song, and he never stops once. So yeah, it's just a great underlying song, but the live performance of the song just has it ingrained in me. Like I love it. Great song.
Jim?
Yeah, I mean, he said it all. I had the lyric written down as well. I mean, that's everybody's favorite lyric. And this song is a wicked song. And you said earlier that Rocky George is definitely an underrated guitarist, and I agree. And this album, excuse me, this album just absolutely showcases his talents as well as the talents of everybody else. But I mean, the video for this was wicked. And I remember the first time I saw the video was on a greatest hits, they used to do it used to be called Power Picks in each year. So they do Power Picks 90 in the end of 90. I think it was like New Year's Eve or something. They did the top videos on the Power Hour for metal, and this was one of them. I mean, the video just is so awesome. And yeah, how it starts off slow, and a lot of the songs on this album are like that, and it just ignites. And I think this album was getting a little bit more away, although there is some punk sounding songs on here. They were getting a little bit more away from sort of the punk groove and getting more into a real serious metal thrash groove for sure. And but no, wicked song, one of my favorites. Not my favorite on the album, but one of my favorites on the album.
Well, this is probably my favorite on the album. And yeah, it was such a classic metal start to an album and a song with, like what you guys said, the slow intro and then just kicking it in. And I've never seen them live before. I don't know, Jim, you probably haven't either, I'm assuming.
No, I haven't, no.
Billy's seen everybody, so we already know that. But but I was watching some YouTube videos today, and I was watching exactly what Billy was saying about it was the start of some concerts, and they started with this song, and Mike comes running all over the place. Luckily, they were playing on big stages. I don't know what he does if they're playing on a small stage, but but yes, he was running around like a maniac there. And yes, I also had wrote down about Charles Manson, so I don't have to say that either. But yeah, the video is a big hit on MTV, and they even put that sign about being banned in LA was at the start of it, the newspaper headline. I'm not sure it was a real newspaper, but they put that on there. And then Mike Muir was in the electric chair wearing a Los Angeles King jersey, I guess for all us Canadians to enjoy. That he's wearing a hockey team's shirt as he's going to get electrocuted. I don't know, but I know he's a hockey fan too. uh, and part of it might also be about the PMRC and how they're trying to censor everybody. But I love the little things that he does, like just when he's talking, where is it? Sorry, got too much stuff here. Even when he mentions, like he says, "Tell him what's up, Rocky," and then he goes into a solo and stuff like that. He just does little things like that all the time, which he'll do something else later and other songs. And then, of course, I love the line at the end where he says, "'Cause this ain't no Mr. Rogers' neighborhood." And we won't get all the foul language there at the end. But anyway, yes, it's one of my favorite songs. Then we go to Lost Again. Oh, by the way, you can't bring. I did check that set list live thing about songs played, and of course, You Can't Bring Me Down is the second most played Suicidal Tendencies song live after. Now I forget the name of the other song. I'll look that up. We'll talk about Lost Again. Jim, what do you think of Lost Again?
Oh, this is my favorite song on the album. I mean, this is just a riff-inspired song. It's so good. I mean, that guitar starting. How it just rips right into it. It's a wicked song. The chugging guitars that just keep going, and this really, really shows and Mike's vocals. I mean, on the whole album are awesome, but on this song, I really, really like it. And this is kind of reminiscent of me. If I was listening to this, I could hear Dave Mustaine singing this song, and this would make a wicked Megadeth song. But I mean, Mike kills it, and I mean, I love it. It's my favorite song. It's so heavy, and I love the guitars on it. Just blows me away. I love this song. It's my favorite on this album. Probably in my top 10 Suicidal songs. So cool.
And Billy?
Yeah, no, a great song again for me. One of my favorites. It's just like every song on this album, like, don't you guys find has these like, especially at the starts of the song, have these like incredibly addictive like riff hooks, and they all kind of start with that. And this one's no different, but like this one again because it lots of good like tempo changes, style changes within the song. Like this is what makes this album so great. Like it's not just your standard like thrash song. A lot of interesting stuff coming into these songs. And again, Mike's vocals. I mean, Jim, you already said it, but like his ability to like do an aggressive vocal, but then come right back with these cool vocal melodies that are like, melodic. And, like even in this song, he just almost sounds like menacing at times. Like it's just, like his vocals, totally make Suicidal Tendencies. No Mike, no Suicide, as great as all the band members are. And obviously he's the only original member. So, but I agree. Another great song, killer Rocky solo again towards the end of the song, and pretty much in every song he has a great solo. But yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, I don't think I could imagine Suicidal Tendencies being sung by anybody except Mike. Yeah, it would be really weird, I think, even with all the lineup changes behind them.
Yeah.
But there's always, most of the time, I don't care about lyrics that much. But yeah, there's always great lines in the songs, even with Infectious Grooves coming after that. There's just always these fun lines to say, whether they really make that much sense sometimes, but they're just all like this one. He says, "When I was burning, you put wood in the fire," things like that. And I just love all these little things that he always does and lines he just throws in there.
Yeah, he's
Then we
thoughtful.
go to the song Alone. Sorry, I said that stupid. I'm going to talk about this one first. And I don't want to bring anybody down or nothing, but I have fought with depression for many years. So some of the lyrics in this song really kind of are like how I feel sometimes. Like when he says, "I feel so alone. I feel so alone in a room full of people. which is sometimes that is exactly how I feel. So it's kind of funny when I was listening to this song back then. And of course, they're called Suicidal Tendencies, even though they don't. So that's why they got in trouble because of their name. People thought, well, they want people to commit suicide or something. So they had to fight for that, but they didn't want to change their name. But of course, they're trying to help people and they don't want their fans to kill themselves. Like, then they lose money, right? I don't know. Stupid. Anyway. But anyway, yeah, I love this song, and it just kind of speaks to me. It doesn't really cheer me up, but it doesn't really make me feel any worse. So, Billy, what do you think of Alone?
Yeah, no, another great song. It's kind of cool. It starts sort of like a ballad, but then obviously picks up and speeds up. So again, that's what's, I think I might have said it, but what's cool about these songs, like the different pacing within them is really good. The songwriting strong. And this is cool because you get these like crunchy guitars, but then you also at times have Mike just doing like this mainstream, almost poppy vocal approach to the song. So that's really cool. Rhythm section really stands out here. Rob on bass and R.H. Herrera on drums. I mean, they're just the driving force behind a lot of these tracks. Just again, great songwriting. I'm a fan of this too.
And Jim?
Yeah, this is a cool song. I mean, the lyric that says, "Seems like things are getting further at a hand. Why can't for once things go just as I planned? How dare you? How dare you tell me that you understand?" I mean, these guys have always in their material going back, always talked about, I mean, their song "Institutionalized" and that sort of side of maybe a mental health awareness to some degree. And I think it's a really cool song. You know what? I think Billy took my notes because I had a ballad with a question mark, and then it's got that dark sound, and then the guitars rip in, and it just turns into a really, really neat song. But I think this one has the most punk sound on it, and it's got kind of, in parts for me, almost like an earlier Misfit sound, just obviously way better produced, but like in that it's got kind of that dark sound. But I mean, you got to give them credit for tackling this sort of, in 1990. I mean, we've talked about a lot of albums in the past in 1990 where a lot of, Testament and that sort of thing, where bands were starting to tackle more social issues rather than just, banging your head against the wall type thing. And this is definitely evidence of that, and kind of shows how deep the band is. I mean, it's a really, really good song. And I think everybody has felt that way at some point in their life, week, year, month, whatever. So definitely people can attach themselves to that. Absolutely.
Yes, and then we go from being alone to feeling lovely. Now, if you just read the lyrics to this song before you heard the song, you think this can't be a heavy metal song or a punk song. He keeps saying la 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 la, like. But of course, when you hear the way they play it, it kind of works, even though the lyrics are still a little goofy. And he says, "I think I'll throw a party," and I don't know, it's kind of weird. But anyway, Jim, what do you think of Lovely?
It's kind of cool. I like the lyrics. So Tipper Babe, don't you remember me? I mean, that's a good shot at Tipper Gore, from the Washington Wives there, that cult that they formed in the American government to censor all good music. So, but anyways, the bass in this is phenomenal. I mean, the bass is great in all the songs. Guitar is great in all the songs. The drums, but the bass really comes out. I love it when he gets a chance to, Robert gets a chance to really showcase it, with that doodle, and he just kind of goes for it. I love it. It's a good, fun song. I like it.
And Billy?
Yeah, no, I'm actually a big fan. So this is obviously one of the two really funky songs on the album. And so, as Jim said, Rob Trujillo's bass is sort of the lead in this song. And, outside of metal, probably my favorite style of music is 70s jazz rock fusion. And that's also Rob Trujillo's favorite. And we're both big fans of a bass player called Jaco Pastorius. And so this song, it really is pulling in like a lot of 70s style Jaco in those bass lines. So I think that's really cool. So I feel right at home with a funky song like this. But yeah, like I think musically, it's a great song. Really funky instrumental break towards the end. And yeah, you mentioned it earlier, but like, Mike, that weird part where he starts doing the la 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 sing along towards the end, like it shouldn't work, but it works
Yeah.
with like the music in the background. So really good. Rocky's great, and then let's not forget the song ends with like a funky cowbell playing towards the end. So yeah, great track.
Yeah, this, as Jim mentioned about PMRC, this is probably something for them. So like, here's a lovely
Yeah.
song for you, and you can see how nice we are writing a song saying la 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 and all that stuff. But yeah, it
Definitely.
still works. Then we go to Give It Revolution, and I'll go with Billy first.
Yeah, I know. So I really like the song. Yeah, another one again starts out with a super memorable riff that reoccurs through the track. Pacing stands out again. Good mix of melody and like faster parts of the song. Really strong pre-chorus, chorus. Also has cool backing vocals by the band that pops up on a couple of these songs. And really, the last minute of the song is great. The song really picks up, a killer Rocky solo at the end. And Mike just, again, great vocals. He's groovy, cool vocal melodies again. So another sort of standout track.
Jim?
Oh yeah, this is my second favorite on the album. I love this song. This has got such a heavy groove to it, and you know, Billy's right. I mean, this is just musically, this is amazing, and it's a great thrash song. But you know what? I love the message it throws out there. You could put a bullet in my head, but you can't kill a word I said. I mean, that's amazing, and I think that really rings through. I think at this time, everybody has to remember. I mean, the three of us grew up during these times, and things were changing towards the end of the '80s. And music was changing as well as society, and I think that the control aspect of what the government and what the Big Brother was trying to do at the time. These guys are definitely fighting back. But I mean, a wicked song. I love it. This is one of my go-to songs on this album. Absolutely.
Now, I love every song on the album, but for me, this is my least favorite song on the album, which is kind of funny.
Really?
Yeah. Now, it's not that I don't like it. I mean, I love them all. It's just, if somebody said take one song off it, it'd probably be this one. It's just a little more mid-pace compared to some of the others, I guess. I don't know, but still a good song. And this song, by the way, I haven't been mentioning this, but this song has been played live once. I think it's kind of strange. And then we have to Get Whacked. And this song has been played 4 times live. So a few of these songs on this album, they didn't play very much. And I don't know why, but the song starts off like you're at a horse race with the trumpet thing there. I'm not really sure what that's all about. But Jimmy, what do you think of Get Whacked?
It's a great song. Again, like you, Blake, and probably Billy. I mean, I love this whole album. For me, there's no skip songs on this, but this would probably be my weakest one on the album. But I mean, it's got killer guitars and it's so heavy and fast. I mean, I like it. It's just there's so much other good stuff on this album, but no, I really really like it. It's a wicked song, and again, it just showcases how musically sound and vocally sound this band was, and
Yeah.
it is sorry, and it's just this album was so good. I mean, there's not a skip track on it in my mind.
And Billy?
Yeah, I know, agree. Like I don't have a weak song on the album, so um but yeah, again, just this simple little thing like putting this weird like classical orchestra piece to kick it off, and then the trumpet going wrong, and then all of a sudden it kicks in with heavy grooves and rhythms. Like great song. Probably Mike's like, I mean, he's using so many different vocal styles in this song. It's kind of crazy. And the band just takes off kind of in the last half, just totally shredding. Just more like unique, interesting songwriting, like another good one.
And I like the lyric line where he says, "One quarter Scottish, three quarters insane." So he must be
Yeah.
Scottish, I guess, heritage or something. I don't know. Unless he's talking about Scottish people. And I'm still not really sure exactly what whack whack means, but we all need a little whack time, don't we? I don't know. Then we go to
Yes.
probably their most commercially accessible song, maybe. I don't know. Send Me Your Money. Billy, what do you think of Send Me Your Money?
Yeah, this is the other one that a real funky song. So enjoy it as well. Maybe not my favorite song, but again, there's no weak songs on here. But the riffs are heavy, like cool grooves, and this again, like being the funky song, like Rob's bass is all over this one, and within the song, you actually hear Mike asking Rob for the bass, right? And so that kicks in and out a few times. A super memorable chorus, no surprise. But I think here we got to call out the drummer on this one. He really stands out. Some great fills and intricate playing. Like I think he stands out most on this song, in my view, for interesting playing. And I kind of think, back, Jim, when me, you, and I think it was Ken did the Death, also in this year podcast. And, you think of the album cover and it kind of fits right in with the lyrics
Yeah.
for the song, which is sort of, going after the television, preachers and stuff that was going on at the time. So, yeah, I mean, a great, again, no weak songs, but, maybe not my favorite, but a great song nevertheless.
Jim?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what Billy said musically. I mean, this has got a bluesy, heavy groove. I mean, it's really cool and it's an interesting song. I like the chugging guitars. There's so many songs on on this album, but I love the lyric. Now if you could only send me $1 or two, there ain't a hell a lot I can promise you. But if he wants to see heaven's door, make a check out for $5 million or more. I mean, a good slap at those bastard TV evangelists that were ripping people off in the late '80s, early '90s, and probably still going on. But I love that, and yeah, as soon as I read that, I thought of the Death album. I mean, come on, spiritual healing. I just was like, God, that fits so perfectly, and it absolutely does. But yeah, a wicked song again. Not one of my favorites, but definitely not. There's nothing on this album that's skippable in my mind. So.
Yeah.
And Billy briefly mentioned it there, but yeah, I love it when he says, "Now give me some bass," and then Robert plays a little bass line, and then a little more goes by. "Now give me some more bass," and he even says, "Yeah, that was funky," or whatever. I know I like that. And of course, I love the line, "We will take your mama's dentures if they got gold in them," for some money there. And he even mentions Jim and Tammy Faye Baker in the lyrics, so yes,
Yeah.
obviously we know what's going on. Then we go to emotion number 13, which it could be also about the song alone. I don't know what emotion, if there's this specific meaning of emotion number 13 besides that. I don't know. But Billy, what do you think of this song?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of this one. It's heavy, but also, Mike's vocals are like very catchy as a pretty strong chorus. Musically, it actually gets sort of into technical territory on this one. The guys are in fine form. Like great guitar work by Rocky. Rob's bass is like weaving in and out of this thing. Great drumming, especially the second half. Like it's like a shred fest. So yeah, another like really strong song.
Jim?
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. This was my other second pick for like kind of a more of a punk vibe set to a heavy groove. So yeah, and I agree. It's awesome. I mean, the guitars on this again are amazing, and it's a great song. I like it, and yeah, it probably goes hand in hand with Alone. I would say, just judging by the lyrical content, probably very similar. But yeah, another great song. As we, and we're heading towards the end of the album here, and I mean, this thing is just not letting up at all. I mean, it's great to say, you start off with such a killer track of "You Can't Bring Me Down," and you just keep going, and I think that's pretty cool. A lot of albums A lot of bands, a lot of albums by the eighth song, things are starting to kind of maybe run into that filler territory, and that definitely doesn't happen on this album.
Yeah, we seem to all love the songs, but for them playing them live, they don't seem to, because this song has never been played live, it says.
Wow.
Yeah, it's tough, I guess, right? Because they have people who go to their shows, like a whole chunk of the audience wants to hear kind of the first two albums. Then people want to hear, that mid group of albums. Like there's so many songs that I guess so many albums that they could really only do a couple from each album.
Yeah, that's true. But
Yeah.
you'd think some of these would get on better, especially
Yeah.
on that tour, the tour for the album. But because I
Yeah.
didn't mention it, but Send Me Your Money is their second most played live from this album and ninth of all time, according to Wikipedia, or according to setlist.fm website, if that is perfectly true there. So then, I also love the line in where he says, "Don't ask me how I know, but I think I'm dying." But we're all dying sometime. But anyway.
Yeah, true.
Then we go to now the people today might not even understand this song because when was disco last year? But anyway, the song's called Disco's Out, Murder's In. Now murder's still in and disco's still out, I guess. So Jim, what do you think of this song?
It's a great song. I mean, this is, I think, for suicidal, like the hardcore suicidal fans, is probably one of the top songs. I don't know what has it been played a lot live?
4 times.
I figured it would have been played a lot more than that, but I like it. It's pretty cool. It's got, I mean, I love the Disco's Out, Murder In, that they just keep going through it. And I mean, it's again, another heavy guitars. And I think this might be even the fastest track probably on the album. I think of it, for myself, I think of it as a fan favorite, but it's got some really cool stuff. Not looking for a filler, just a serial killer. It's got to be violent to make a highlight, I guess, and then the other one there, Goody Goody, Another Commotion, one more time in slow motion. The mountain won't come to Mohammed. Let's keep our fingers crossed and maybe we'll bomb it. So, it's got some pretty cool lyrics, but I mean, the majority of it's just disco's out, murder's in. So it's pretty cool in my book. And I mean, the second last song on the track, it's awesome.
And Billy?
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of it as well. It's funny, the track is somewhat simplistic in structure, but the execution is great. I mean, it just even like Mike just shouting "Disco's Out" and then the band shouting back "Murder's In." Like again, simple, but it works and it's cool. And even towards the end, like Mike does some like crooning over the music, right, where he's doing the da 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 like through the song. So at one point, and so again, that little stupid thing, but it actually adds something cool to the song. So enjoy it. It's a great one overall. Good.
Well, as I was listening to this like on my TV, so I got Spotify on and I got the lyrics showing just so I can see if there's anything I wanted to pick up on. And yeah, you got your la dee da 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 dee da stuff. And then first time Spotify's ever made me laugh, but in the lyrics it says all kind of la dee fucking da's. It even says that. And that's not what he says in the song. That's what Spotify is saying about the song, or whoever does the lyrics for Spotify. But I thought, well, that's funny. So yes. And then we go to the closing track. Now this one's played 53 times live, so I guess I like this one a little better than some of the others. Going Breakdown. And Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, so another a great song. Again, back to we're reusing it over and over, not a weak track. Another great riff to open the song. This one's groovy and funky at times. Again, a little more straightforward. Also, it gets really thrashy towards the end. So a mishmash of some of the themes we heard on the earlier song. So a good song again. Not my top couple on the album, but again, back to the not a weak song on the album.
And Jim?
Yeah, this would be like my tied for my second or third best. What a way to finish off an album. Like just rip it right out and just go for it. And I think that's what it feels like at the end of this album. it doesn't, from the first track right down to the last track, it's just a massive assault of the senses, and I think it continues through this song. It's absolutely wicked.
And yes, and I love the song too, of course. And I guess more lyrics that I made a note of. He says, "If you like magic, here's a trick. Snap my fingers, now I'm a lunatic." And of course, he graduated head of class, majored in kicking ass.
There you
go.
So that is the album. We're gonna rate it. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna beat Jim to the punch because I have a feeling I know what he's gonna give it. Maybe Billy too, but I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Nice.
So Jimmy, what do you give it?
Oh man, this is definitely a 10 out of 10 in my book. And you know what? I got to admit, being able to do the podcast on this, I probably haven't listened to it in probably a couple of months and broke it out all weekend. And I mean, it's now in my daily playlist now. So, and it will, and then it'll seep into other albums as well from them for sure.
And Billy, what would you rate this one?
Yeah, pretty much a repeat of you guys. So a 10, and I was the same thing. I haven't listened to it in quite some time, but put it on to prep for this podcast, and man, it's aged incredibly well. I think I probably played it 5, 6, 7 times, and I think back, I put this thing in when we did our top 50 episode. I think it was kind of middle of the pack. After I spent the week with it, like I should have rated it higher. So yeah, just really, I think I appreciate it more with age. Actually, the unique nuances to the song, mean more now than they did in 1990 to me.
Yeah, I didn't go back and check, and I don't have a very good memory, but I'm sure I have this one in my top 50 also, and I probably have The Art of Rebellion also in my top 50, I think. If I didn't, I should have. But yes, so I love those two albums, and even the ones like Trip of the Brain song on the other album is great, and even some of the recent ones I probably didn't listen to them a lot, but I still didn't mind listening to them. Not like I get with some groups. Later release albums in their catalog, I don't like them at all, but I still like them. It's probably because Mike's there, and Mike's always Mike and everything. So, and I'll ask about seeing them live. Billy already mentioned it briefly, but you can talk about how many times have you seen them live, or maybe your favorite show of them, or whatever.
Yeah, so got a chance to see them like I'm going to estimate like 7 times. So the first time seeing them, obviously a great memory, it was this tour, 1990 in Montreal. And actually, they totally got overshadowed because you had Pantera doing Cowboys and Exodus doing Fabulous Disaster on this tour. But that was just a great night. And again, Suicidal killed it for sure. First time I saw them, they don't play Wacken too often, but got to see them in 2011. Again, massive crowd there, so that was really cool. 2014 saw them in California with Slayer and Exodus again. That was cool because California, a bit of a home state crowd, probably the most diverse audience ever. Like the mosh pit was like nothing like I've seen before, which is really cool. I thought that was great. And then the last show I'll mention, 2016, them playing with Megadeth, Amon Amarth, Metal Church. And they were one of I think they came on after Metal Church, if I remember right. But this was great. I mean, on this tour, Megadeth was the headliner. I don't know if I've told this story, but Megadeth were doing like a $300 VIP tour. And Suicidal, after their set, marched out into the main lobby, brought out a table, and sat there and did free signings and pictures. So they signed my album. I got a picture with all the band members. Dave Lombardo was the drummer, so got to chat with him, got a picture with him. I mean, they're so down to earth, right? It reminds me, like, Death Angel does this as well in all their shows. So like it's just such a contrast to Megadeth, who were like charging a fortune to just take a picture and get an album signed, and these guys are doing it for free right in the main hall. So like the only stipulation was if you actually bought a T-shirt or an album there at the show, you got to go to the front of the line. So I bought their album at the time that was there selling at the merch table, and I got rushed to the front of the line. So that was kind of cool.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean,
Cool.
they're always fantastic live. Mike is a madman. Like, I don't know how old he is now, but like even in 2016, the man never stops running from one end of the stage to the other, from the first song to the last song. There's so much energy, and you know, a lot of their tracks are bass heavy, and that just sounds fantastic live. So yeah, if you guys get a chance, definitely go see them. They're well worth it.
I had tickets to see them once with Pantera,
Okay.
but I didn't have anybody to go with, and I was scared to go by myself, so I didn't
Oh.
go. I can't remember the year. This would have been obviously
Maybe it
it's
was 90 then, because they were with Pantera and Exodus
Yeah.
when I saw them in Montreal.
well, I thought it was just the two of them, but I could be wrong. It's many years, but I know it was for sure it was Pantera and Suicidal Tendencies, and I would have loved to have seen them both then, but I don't remember Exodus being on the bill because I know I loved Exodus too, so maybe it was a different,
Yeah,
maybe
could
just
be, yeah.
Exodus didn't come to Toronto. I don't know what, but yeah, it was just the time where. Because I didn't go to small, not unlike you, Billy. I didn't go to small shows or anything. I was
Okay.
used to the big arena shows and stuff. And so, since by myself, I thought, even though I know it's not scary, but still it was a little scary thinking, can I go in there by myself? So, well, I
I
didn't
mean,
even make the trip, but
to this day, I'd say 80 to 90% of all the shows I go to, I'm by myself. It doesn't bother me.
yeah. Well, I went to a few by myself, but not too many. I mean, one thing I had to drive 2 hours to Toronto by myself to do it in the first place. So I probably didn't really want to do that too often anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, okay. So now we're going to go to our top 10 metal albums. I'm assuming everybody has all metal albums here from 1990. And we'll see how we match here because 1990 is the kind of the birth of death metal. So we got some death metal. And as I was looking through the list, I'm not a death metal fan myself much, but I know you two are. So we'll see if maybe make some death metal albums made your list. I have a feeling I know one death album will make the list, but we'll find out when you do your list. So we'll let Jim go first, I guess, with your top 10.
Yeah, just to start with a couple of honorable mentions. So if I'd written this back in 1990, my list probably would have been a lot different. But going back now, there's a lot of massive, memorable albums, especially in the death metal genre, that are so important to the metal movement today. But my honorable mentions would be Pantera with Cowboys, even Alice in Chains. I know a lot of people will debate whether they're metal or not. I like them with Facelift and Dio Lock Up the Wolves. Those would be probably my honorable mentions. I start off with number 10 with the band Forbidden, Twisted into Form. Absolutely love that album, love that band. Number 9 would be Sacred Reich, probably The American Way. Another great album, another great band. And number 8 album, Suicidal Tendencies, Lights Camera. Number 7, and this is my favorite Megadeth album, but it's such a strong year for everything that this hits my number 7 for Rest in Peace. Number 6, you've got Coma of Souls by Creator. Another amazing album. Number 5, Annihilator, Never Neverland. I mean, this and the debut album of Alice in Hell. I don't know which one I like more. I go back and forth. So they're pretty much tied. Number 4 would be Obituary, Cause of Death. Huge Obituary fan, and that's a great album. I love it. We're getting down there. So number 3, Death Angel, Act 3, wicked album, and probably the album that really broke these guys wide open in a more of a mainstream audience. I love the first couple albums, but this is just another amazing album. Number 2, Entombed, Left Hand Path. I mean, for any death metal enthusiast, this is probably in most people's top 5 or at least top 10. And then number 1, I got to go with Spiritual Healing by Death. And I mean, that's just the way it goes. That's one of my favorite bands of all time as well. So
So
That's
wait,
that.
you had Suicidal as number 8, right?
Yes.
And you gave that a 10 out of 10. So what do you
These
give
are
your top 7?
Oh my God, these are all tens. These are just amazing albums. I mean, probably like Alice in Chains, I'd probably go like a 9 out of 10 for maybe. And Cowboys is a wicked album. And you know what? If I had done this, I probably wasn't as familiar with Entombed in 1990 as I would have been with Cowboys. So, but as you get older, you start to really figure these things out.
Okay, I'll let I guess yeah, I'll let no here. Yeah, Billy, you go next. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Actually, Jim, we have a fair amount. I lost count. There were enough of them that we have crossover on. So number 10, I'm going to cheat because I couldn't narrow it down. So the two sides of death metal, the Swedish death metal side, Entombed, Left Hand Path, and Cannibal Corpse, Eaten Back to Life. The Florida side. That's my tie for number 10. Number 9, again, excellent death metal on the Florida side, Deicide, and their self-titled album. Number 8, Slayer, Seasons in the Abyss. For me, it's definitely a step down relative to everything that came before it, but still, it's Slayer, so it's going to make my list. Number 7, Death Angel, Act 3. Again, my favorite Death Angel is definitely the debut, but this has like such cool songwriting variety, makes it a classic album. 6, Suicidal, Lights, Camera. 5, Jim, you had this one, Forbidden, Twisted into Form.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Russ Anderson's one of the best vocalists in thrash. I mean, the band reformed, they're touring.
Yep.
We're going to see what the new album is. Russ is not there, so he's pretty hard to replace. Number 4 for me, album I just absolutely love. Speaking of amazing vocalists, Sanctuary, Into the Mirror, Black, Rest in Peace, Whirl. Probably my all-time favorite metal vocalist of all genres. Killer songwriting here. 3, Megadeth, Rest in Peace. This, for me, Marty Friedman was my favorite guitarist, even 10 years before this album came out, doing his early solo stuff in the early 80s. Maybe not 10 years, maybe 7 or 8 years. But him on here just elevated Megadeth to the next level. Hands down my favorite Megadeth album. Number 2, Death, Spiritual Healing. Killer album. James Murphy on guitar, great. And then my number 1, James Murphy again pops up here. Obituary, Cause of Death.
Yeah.
My favorite album, my favorite band. I've said that many times. So yeah, great year for metal. And then just quickly, a couple honorable mentions. I guess Judas Priest Painkiller came out this year as well. That's got to be on there. One of my favorite technical thrash albums, Mekong Delta from Germany, Dances of Death, a great album. The self-titled Trouble album, cool psychedelic doom album there. I had Creator here. And then maybe a call out, Nocturnus, a cool death metal band ahead of their time that actually sort of combined keyboards into the death metal landscape. So real landmark album, Nocturnus. The Key needs to be mentioned. And then really quickly, Artillery by Inheritance, and Exhorter, Slaughter at the Vatican. Great year in metal.
Yeah.
Well, you guys match a lot more than I'm gonna match with you guys. There's a few, but again, that's because I wasn't into death metal back then, and I've listened to it a little more now with meeting you guys and other people in the metal pit that are into death metal, since most of them are now. So I've got into it a little more, but not enough to go back and pick out albums from 1990, I guess, to get in there. So yeah, there's no death metal on my list, I don't think at all. So first, 2 honorable mentions. First, I have Bruce Dickinson's first solo album, Tattooed Millionaire, which isn't very heavy, of course, but I love Bruce Dickinson, so I had to throw that in there. And my other honorable mention is Scatterbrain. Does anybody know Scatterbrain?
Yeah, no, they're cool band.
Scamboogery, yes.
Yeah.
Now, it was mostly because of the song Don't Call Me Dude. I just thought the song was hilarious and the video was hilarious. So I don't
Great
know about the
album.
rest of the album, but it was funny and different and stuff. So yeah, there we go. So, okay. Number 10, I got Steve Vai because I love Steve Vai's guitar playing. So I have his second album, Passion and Warfare. I love the audience's listening track where he's back in public school playing the guitar in his class. And I love that song because he's just so, I don't know, amazing guitarist there. Number 9, I got Anthrax with Persistence of
Yep.
Time. Number 8, I know will disappoint people because a lot of people don't seem to like this album, but I do. But Iron Maiden, No Prayer for the Dying. I know a lot of
Great album.
fans don't like that, but I do. Because I didn't really like the two before that, even though I know a lot of people did, because where they kind of get into the keyboard thing or whatever, Seventh Son and Somewhere in Time, they weren't my favorites. So I was kind of glad they got back into the other stuff again. Number 7, I guess, I don't know if you call this hair metal. I guess they're kind of hair metal. So this is definitely not in either one of your lists. But I got Extreme with Porno Graffiti because I love Nuno Betancourt's guitars playing on this. And it's kind of funky too, which of course they had a song called Funk It Up or what? I forget now the name of the song. But anyway.
Get the funk out.
Yeah, let's get the funk out. That's it.
Yeah.
I love that song. Okay, number 6, I got Annihilators, Never Never Land, which was mentioned. Number 5, I got Painkiller by Judas Priest, their 12th studio album. Number 4, I got some honorable mentions. Oh no, Billy mentioned this one. Slayer. I got Slayer Seasons in the Abyss is my number 4. Number 3, I have Trouble with their 4th album, which was self-titled, because Trouble is one of my favorite bands ever. Nice. Number 2, I have Pantera with Cowboys from Hell. That was their 5th studio album, but I never heard their first 4 because they weren't really heavy, I guess, that I know of until Phil joined the band. So that one. And of course, number 1 is Suicidal Tendencies, the album we talked about today.
Wicked.
So there's our lists. Anything anybody wants to add about Suicidal Tendencies or 1990?
I was 19 in 1990. So, I was just a young pup and living life to the fullest, and I haven't stopped.
Yeah, no, like it's funny. Like for me, if I look back and doing the top 50 album list really helped. But I would say, I mean, no joke, probably 85-90% of my albums are 89, 88, 89, 90, with the majority being 89, 90. And this period is where I was seeing all these amazing bands live, many for the first time. It's probably, it's not probably, it is my favorite time in metal. 88, 89, 90 are the peak of metal for me. Yeah, love that period.
And I knew.
Sorry. I saw Extreme open up for ZZ Top on that tour for Porno Graffiti. So that's why, they opened up for ZZ Top that came to Halifax, which was wicked, sold out.
I remember watching a movie on Netflix about an air band contest used to have, or air guitar contest used to have.
Yeah.
And the guy that won the championship did an Extreme song. It's not the one on this album, I don't think. It's the Come Out and Play or whatever, that song. I think it's from the album before it, but I just remember that from this documentary they had about air guitar, and he did that song. But anyway, yeah, I liked Extreme back then. They got a little soft later on, and we're trying to get the girls with their ballads and stuff. But anyway, I like the earlier albums.
Was it the Extreme singer who went on to join Van Halen?
Van Halen.
Yes, yes, it is.
Right? Yeah, yeah.
Now I don't. Is he? I'm not sure if he's in another band now. I forget. I thought I can't remember. That doesn't matter. But yeah, it was Gary Sharon who would join Van Halen there for a while. I don't think I ever heard anything by Van Halen when he was a singer myself, but because Van Halen died when Dave died, even though I know Van Halen probably died when he died, but whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's it. I will say one thing. I want to say Billy's leaving in a few weeks for his cruise on the 10,000 tons of, 70,000
70.
tons of metal. Sorry, I was a little light there. 70,000 tons of metal cruise soon. So I hope that goes well. And I hope he doesn't fall overboard after hearing his favorite bands. And we'll look forward to hearing about that cruise after that's over, but that's in like late January, February. So safe travels to you, Billy.
Thank you.
And me and Jim will be here in Canada shoveling snow once we get some, as we don't really have any right now. But so you'll be laying on the cruise and we'll be shoveling snow.
I'll think
So
of you
anyway,
guys.
so
I'll have a
thanks.
beer for you.
Yeah.
There you go. Yes.
So thanks for joining me today. Now, depending on where you listen to our podcast, if it would be awesome if you could give us a review, rate the podcast, and leave a comment if you can, like if you listen on YouTube, or if you have any comments or suggestions, email us at info@themetalpit.org. And remember, if you want to donate money to us, remember, we will take your mama's dentures if they got gold in them. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
See you later.